leader, newly promoted double diamond leader, going for triple. So excited to have you, Cassie. Cassie is predominantly or 100% social media. She has a special needs daughter, as well as a 4-year-old daughter. What are your ages?
My 5-year-old with special needs and my 8-year-old.
Okay, so if you can relate, you've got a child with special needs, please know that Cassie's in the same boat. It's just good to know that we can relate to each other, right? I think there's a lot of women in your situation where they're dealing with something at home. And then we've got Jamie. Come on up, Jamie. Excited to have Jamie here.
Super excited.
Super excited. Come over here, Jamie. Jamie, this is Jamie's first time up here, right? First time on a microphone? Are you killing me that I'm just gonna embarrass you? This business pushes you out of your comfort zone. How many of you have stretched because of this business, getting in front of people, talking, sharing? So this is a big moment for Jamie. I'm really proud of her that she's up here. So here's our social media panel. We are ready to learn.
How is everybody doing? Good? What is one thing that sticked out to you today, Lonnie?
Goodness, I guess just putting everybody first before us, because we get so held up on rank and money, and it's just so important to think of others before ourselves, and our business will grow even more.
And you do social media to grow your business, right? How many of you guys use social media? How many of you guys want to, but maybe you're not just there yet, or you're not seeing the results that you know that you can get from social media? So from day one, social media is how I grew my business, because I had no friends. I didn't have any family. And that's a reason why people don't join, is because they don't have a lot of friends and family, and they don't understand how they can grow a business. But my mind, instead of worrying about that, I thought of, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I can add everybody around me. I'm in a brand new area where I've never lived before, and this is just gonna allow me to reach as many people as I possibly can. So I ran with social media. I had no idea what I was doing. In the beginning, my selfies got like 3 likes, and looking back now, if that happened today, I'd be like, oh my gosh, am I ugly or something? Like, why am I only getting 3 likes? But truth be told, I just didn't have a network. And that's how I grew my business, is I grew a network. That was first. And one of my first 4 loyal customers was somebody that I never met before, and she is now going triple diamond on my team. It took her 2 years being a customer to finally join. So the power of social media is amazing, and as you guys start using it, just somebody as simple as maybe one of your first customers, or maybe this month you may sign a customer that could become your next double or triple diamond down the road. So it's really amazing. What you share, what you post, how you present yourself, how you show up online is who you're going to attract. So that's what we're going to go over today, is how we use social media, how we grow our business, and how we've had so much success doing it. So my name is Brittany, and I live here in Charlotte, Huntersville area. And like I said earlier, I've been doing this 4 years tomorrow, and it has been such a blessing for my family. We actually, just retired my fiance home. I've been home with my babies, waking up every single morning with them in my bed for over 3 years now, and I can never go back to a job. You have me, on a schedule that's never gonna work again. I can never go back to a schedule. I just love owning my own time and doing what I want whenever the heck I want it. So I'll go ahead and pass the mic over to Brittany, and we'll just introduce ourselves real quick.
Hey y'all, I'm Brittany Austin from Kings Mountain. I think I've probably said this like 10 times. But yeah, let's get into some training. You guys introduce yourself first then.
My name is Jamie Wagaman. I live on the other side of North Carolina, on the Virginia border. I am a mental health therapist, so I do primarily mental health and substance abuse with the military. I've been married for 15 years. I have 2 daughters that are 12 and 5, and I have been with It Works for 3 years and just promoted to Double Diamond in February.
Woo!
Hi, I'm Cassie. Sorry my voice is really hoarse. We've been having a lot of fun. And I'm from California. I live about 30 miles outside of Los Angeles. I have 2 girls. My youngest is 5 and my oldest is 8. My youngest has Kabuki syndrome, which is it's a global delayed syndrome. We didn't know she was to be special needs, so that was kind of, my whole world was kind of turned upside down. I started this business 4 years ago last month. I had my anniversary. And she was just recovering from cleft palate surgery at 15 months old when I started this business, and she was being tube fed for 19 hours a day. So we've been through a journey, and before this, I was an entrepreneur, but I hated jobs. I hated being told what to do. I'm just kind of like that way. Did you tell me what to do? I'm gonna go the other way. And I didn't want to have to go I didn't want to have to go get a job and stuff when things got tough. And I really was praying, just like find a way, because our cars were being deferred, things were being shut off. And when you have a child who's being tube fed, electricity is very important. And I just prayed, and this just fell in my lap. I saw some random person post on Facebook.
So we are going to go ahead and dive right into questions. So I want to know, we'll go ahead and start with Cassie since we just left off. What is the best way to grow your audience on social media? I guess using Facebook and Instagram. What have you done to grow your audience and become successful with that?
Okay, so I will say when I started this business, I had no friends. No friends. I was teased and bullied in school, so I never had any close girlfriends that I could just go, hey, can you help me out? Can you support me? Never had any of that. I didn't really have a lot of family support either. So my entire business has been built off social media. So for me, I didn't have a network. I did not have an Instagram account when I started. All I had was Facebook, and I had to do a complete wipeout of Facebook pretty much, because I did kitten rescue, cat rescue I had a nonprofit organization. And I did that, so a lot of my friends and following were cat rescue people. They were not interested in health and beauty, let me tell you. I had people come and say, do not message me about those wraps. So I had to do a complete wipeout. And she became a customer anyway, so it's totally fine, and the wraps really worked on her. But I had to do a complete wipeout. So how I learned to build network-wise is I just started watching videos, I started watching that stuff, and I learned what worked and didn't work. So for me, what works is I do host to post now, which I expand my network off of host to post. And then also I add from sponsored ads. So that's how I expand my network and stuff on Facebook. And then with Instagram, it's kind of a trial and error, because there's been some changes with Instagram lately. Yeah. But it's kind of trial and error on that one. But you just have to figure out what works best for you and then stick with it.
That's exactly how I did it too. I made so many mistakes. I just knew I had to bring people in somehow, and you guys just have to start somewhere and make sure you're at least trying your best to find the right people, bring them into your page. And for me, what I like to do is I like to follow other people and use a lot of hashtags, so that way I'm following people, but also leaving myself on public for people to come to me and find me, because who you are is what you're gonna attract, right? So Brittany, how do you go about growing your audience?
So when I started this business 7 years ago, if you guys ever go back and look at the memories, and you're like, did I really post that? Yeah, that's me on the daily, like not even kidding you guys. So I had like 300 Facebook friends. Facebook was kind of new back then. I primarily worked from Facebook. I had about 300 Facebook friends, and literally I would go back and look at me posting stuff about my wedding and different things like that, and I would have like 1 like, 2 likes, and different things like that. So I did not have a huge audience as far as Facebook goes. So I really like to heavily engage in groups, okay? So find groups based on your hobbies. So for example, I'm in numerous groups based on, my family and I have Disney annual passes, and so we go to Disney World like every 2 to 3 months. And so I'm in a lot of Disney groups. So like for example, a lot of the people that have joined me, they love Disney World too, because we interact in those groups. Or if you're a baseball mom, or a soccer mom, or a dance mom, or whatever, interact in those groups and find people that have the same common interests as you guys. That's a really big tip. That's one of the daily tasks that I have my team do for one of our non-negotiables is interact in those groups and make friends, you guys. That's what this business is. It's making friends with people. And it's kind of crazy because over the 7 years, my personality has really evolved. I've just always like to have a good time, but I've just never, back in the day, I was never one of these people that just had to have a ton of friends. I was kind of like, take it or leave it, And so that's one thing that I really work on is just try to make friendships with people. Comment on people's posts, you guys. Be genuine. If you don't think her kid's cute, don't tell her kid's cute. I'm serious, okay? If you don't think she's gorgeous, Don't tell her she's gorgeous. Like,
Don't tell her that she's not cute though. Don't
no,
comment
you know what I'm
that.
saying. Do you guys ever, like, guys, come on, especially like you, the top leaders, like you have people that try to cross recruit you and they're like, oh my gosh, hey gorgeous. You would be so amazing at what I do. Okay, don't say that to everybody. You guys get what I'm saying. Be genuine above all else, okay? And so that's one thing that I really try to do is, one of the other tasks that we do every day is 2 to 4 times a day, scroll social media for 5 to 10 minutes and work on creating those relationships and making friends with people and being genuine and just genuinely starting those conversations.
Exactly, and people don't care until they know how much you care about them. So people aren't going to pay attention to you unless you show love on their page. So that's really important, is to show engagement and just get to know people. So Jamie, go ahead and share, what do you do to grow your audience?
So I primarily do Facebook, only a little Instagram, but I plan on working on that. But mostly to Double Diamond, I've done Facebook. I do groups as well, and I also recommend finding things that apply to you, not just, finding groups in general and just mass adding yourself to all of those, but specifically focusing on things that are authentic for you. And then in those groups, just interacting. You don't want to go in the group and start telling people you're a networks distributor and trying to enroll them, but just interacting with them and building friendships. And then adding those people that you feel like you have a common bond with, that you like. There will definitely be people in groups that you don't want to go anywhere near them, and that's okay. So just kind of finding the ones that you like and the ones that you feel like you would have a good relationship with. And then the other thing for me is also host to post. Like, that's been really big for me. It works almost all the time. So I'm pretty big on that. And then I add those people that comment on the host to post as friends, and then work on building those relationships. And then you'll find a lot of those people will do host to post, and you can grow your network like exponentially all over the world by doing that.
And I just want to share a tip. I tell my team several things. Add people that you think are cooler than you. That way you know you're adding the kind of people that it's almost like you want to become. We're always growing, we're always trying to be our best versions of ourselves. So add people that are at that level where you're like, oh my gosh, I relate to her so much, she could be my best friend. You get excited over wanting to be their friend. Another tip, as you're following people, go like 3 of their photos or comment on something right away as you follow them. And my third tip for you guys is, as you're building relationships, instead of commenting on somebody's photo, I shoot them a message and I say, hey, I would have commented, but I wanted to message you because we've never got to connect on social yet. I can't believe we've been following each other for like 2 months and we haven't said anything yet. I just saw your photo that you went to the Bahamas and I need to ask, where the heck did you stay? It's beautiful. So instead of commenting, message, and do that with 20 people a day. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to go to is, if you're talking to so many people, because I don't know about you guys, social media gets overwhelming sometimes and it feels like you don't even know people's names anymore. So staying organized, just what is your best method for following up, Cassie?
I will tell you that I'm not the most organized person. That is something, it's definitely a work in progress. But for me, it's simplicity. Like, if anything I can do to keep things simple, I'm going to do it. So I, like, especially with host to post, I do a lot, I primarily am doing host to post right now on Facebook. So when somebody posts for you, they're on the post, there's 3 little lines up at the top right. If you click that, you can save the post. And then what that does is, this is, do you want to add it to a collection? And so I make collections for each month of my host to post. So I have we really as a team really started jumping into host to post in December. Mm-hmm. So I have like December host to post, January host to post, February host to post, March host to post, April, and now May. And then what I can do is I'm checking my host to post twice a day. I'm checking them in the morning and I'm checking them at night before I go to bed, just to make sure somebody didn't get back to me, or I maybe missed something. And then what I do is I'll go back through everything like every week, and I'll go back through and I'll click on each person's name to see maybe I missed a follow-up there or something like that, like it didn't register to me to follow up, like the conversation just died out, because you talk to so many people you're just going to lose the conversations, and you're not going to remember to message so-and-so tomorrow because the conversation just stopped. So making sure, just being very diligent about that. If somebody tells me that they're ready to get started on payday, then I ask them what date that they get paid. And I write them in my planner, and then I have a separate planner that I write people of when they're supposed to enroll. So then on that day, I will go and I will message them like, hey, are you ready to get started? So that's pretty much how I do that. If I'm out and about and I don't have my stuff with me, I screenshot the person, and then I'll put like I'll write like a little note like follow up, and then I know when I'm going back through, I'll write everything down in my planner.
Brittany?
Okay, so I am old school. Being in this business 7 years, when I first started, I was not the least bit organized, and so I have learned that for me, it's really, really important. They say all the time, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, and so I just make sure that I write everything down. And so I also save my host to post, but I also have a massive notebook that I write them down in. 2 years ago, this last March, my Facebook got hacked. And so I don't ever just leave it up to chance, okay? Because that's what I did back then. I didn't write anything down. It's here it is. It's gonna be on Facebook. It's always gonna be there. So I really try now is I try to get phone numbers, and I try to write everything down. So if one day my Facebook, something happened to it again, Lord Jesus, please don't let that happen, because that was a mess. It was gone for 2 weeks. Not kidding you guys. And I barely got it back, and I had 5,000 Facebook friends. It was horrible, and I had just gave birth, so literally like a week out of the hospital, worst day of my life. Anyway, so after that, I got organized. Let me think, there was another, as far as, another thing I like to do on Messenger. So I also do what Cassie said as far as asking them, okay, what's a good day for me to follow with you? What day do you get paid? I love using the reminders in your Facebook Messenger. It rocks my world because I have the Big It Works calendar, and even though my pocketbook is big, I don't always carry it on me. And so what I like to do, instead of writing it down in there, I do write it in there, but I save it in my phone. So does anybody not know what the reminders is on Facebook? Does anybody not know what that is? Okay, so pretty much, just earlier while we were at lunch, I had this girl named Rhonda. She said, yes, ma'am, it will be Friday before I can order. Is that okay? I said, yes, ma'am, that's fine. I'll follow up with you next Friday if that's okay. And so she said, yes, that's perfect. So literally, if you have an iPhone, you tap the 4 dots, and you're going to see the bell there that says reminders. And so then the reminder title, I put like TFX follow-up, and then next Friday, and then what time. So I'll follow up with her at lunchtime. And then so next Friday, it's going to remind me, and it's going to remind her. So it's not just going to remind one of us. And so for those of you that have kiddos that are wild and crazy, and maybe some days you just lose your mind, this is just a great way to stay connected and just make sure that, and guys, let's be honest, we can lose our planners too. I mean, you never know. So it's always good for me personally to use more than one system to stay organized.
Okay, so a couple of years ago, I felt like I was kind of struggling with organization, so I created a really big notebook and alphabetized it, and I keep potential customers and potential distributors listed in there. So as soon as someone likes a post, comments on a post, anything shows any interest whatsoever, they go in my notebook, and they do not leave unless they tell me to go away or they sign up. So I use that primarily to keep track of people, and then for follow-up, I use a calendar, like a planner. And so I write down people every month. If I need to follow up with them that month or on a specific day, I write that down. So far, that's worked really well for me, so I have not deviated from that.
I've got one more tip really quick. So I used to do the index cards. Anybody do index cards for follow-up? Okay, I used to do that. I did it for a little bit, then it didn't work for me. Then I made a planner, then it didn't work for me. So I did like 500 different things. But for those of you guys that use planners, if you go to Office Max, there are tabs that are numbered 1 through 25. And guess what? Our auto ships run on the 1st to the 25th of the month, right? So behind the first, I have a sheet that's got their, I had a sheet because I don't use it anymore just because I'm all over the place. It had their name, their goals, their products, their ID number, and then I had placement too, you know, if you do that. And so then I would write that down. So then behind the 5th, everybody that's auto ships are on the 5th, behind the 25th, and so on. And so then when someone would turn an auto ship off, then I would put those sheets at the very back. So then when it came time for me to go do follow-up, then all of that stuff was just right there. So for those of you guys that do happen to use the notebook system, go to Office Max or Walmart and pick up one of those.
How many of you guys use Connect? Are you loving it?
Yeah.
So what I do is I actually will sign my customers, or I'll get my PLCs, my PDTs, whatever, and I will save them in the month that I sign them up in. So this is just like also to touch on following up with your current customers. You can organize them in the month that they signed up if you create the folder that way. And that's how I stay up to date with mine, and that way I know this is their second month along with the other 40 people in the group. And just another tip, you guys, has anybody heard of WordBoard before?
Just
Okay.
now.
That is my favorite thing ever, because text replacement used to be really hard. You used to think of, like, you know, oh, what did I save that under? And then you couldn't think of the word, and then you'd have to like go back into your settings and go look up the word. It was a pain. So if you don't have WordBoard, download it right now. I have all my follow-ups in there, and I do the same follow-up every single time. If it's my first time following up with them, I'll click follow-up 1. If it's my second one, I'll hit follow-up 2. And then the third one, I know I have to go to their page and talk to them about something besides just me following up and being personable, and that's usually when they write back, right? Okay, so next question is, what are your everyday social media must-dos? I'm gonna say mine real quick. Post, message, and follow up, and engage and build relationships. And what I mean by posting is I'm doing 10 to 12 slides on my Instagram stories, and I'm also posting about the business and the products at least once a day on each. That is major. So Cassie, what do you do that are your non-negotiables every day on social?
My non-negotiables are posting. You gotta be consistent with posting. If you're not posting, you're closed for business. It's just really, and also too, and I'll just make this tip too, is, you know, making sure they're good posts. It's not so much about how many posts you're doing through the day, as long as they're good quality posts. Expanding. You gotta expand your network. If you don't have enough people to talk to, the well's gonna dry up. So you gotta expand, you gotta post, following up. I go through my stuff every day and I follow up with the people that I need to follow up with. And I am engaging and stuff like that, making sure you're liking and giving some love on your profile. And it doesn't have to be for a long period of time. It could be 5 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night, whatever you can do. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay, Brittany?
So I'm primarily referring to Facebook because I know, Instagram's a totally different game. But I try to do 2 to 5 Facebook posts a day, good quality Facebook posts a day. Guys, we're working smarter, not harder. And so literally if you are just finding something and you're like, oh, that's good, and you're copying and pasting it and then throwing it on your Facebook page, guys, take time, take pictures. If you check my camera roll, I've got 26,000 pictures in here because I take pictures, like that's what Brittany and I were over there doing. We're like taking all these pictures of everything. Take pictures. So then, guys, like for example, I had surgery last Friday, but I was posting pictures of me decked out. So I might have had surgery, but on my Facebook page it didn't look like that. So good quality Facebook posts. I personally do 8 to 15 stories, and I try to incorporate my life in there. So my kids. So if we're out and about in Disney World, I'm posting that on there. Not just back to back, it works, picture before and after, testimony. Not just that, but incorporate your life, because that's how people will really start to follow your journey. Next, I do 20 to 30 Facebook friend requests a day. Send out happy birthdays. Guys, I can't sing, but I have sang to people in their inbox before, and I'm not kidding you. My husband's like, why do you do that? I'm like, it makes them laugh, okay? So that's another thing I do. And if you guys have the new iPhone X, I think maybe it's Rhonda that I saw this tip on the VIP page. Oh my gosh, it's the best thing ever. You have the little emojis, and you can like do your face and your voice with it.
Oh yeah.
Super cute. So if you haven't done that, that's just something to make you stand out, because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. I don't go live every single day. And does anybody in here hate going live? Raise your hand. Be honest. Guys, oh my gosh. I used to be the same way. If you guys would have watched my old, back before we had lives, just when I had to record a video, I was standing here like this, and oh my gosh, it was absolutely horrible. Guys, everybody sucks at it when you start. You're not going to be good at it. You're going to be, it's just how it works. But to get practice, go live, and at the top, put that only you can see it. So literally, you can go live and just practice, and then nobody's going to be able to see it but you. You're the only one that can see that. So going live, like I said, I don't do that every single day, but one of the biggest things that I get when I do go live is people say, oh my gosh, I love your energy. And people are able to connect with you. And they see the real you, and they see that you're not just somebody sitting behind a computer just posting about how much money you make and you love these products. Let people see the real you.
So yes, posting daily, every single day, without fail, no matter what. I try a lot to just show myself using the products. And with those posts, I try to always keep in mind that I'm adding value for somebody else. So why would somebody want this product? What would it do for them? Why would somebody want to join the business? Like last week, my kids were playing on the trampoline, and they actually play on that all the time. And my oldest, who was like almost my size, jumped just right and split it right down the middle. And so, nobody was injured. And so, we actually went and just ordered a brand new trampoline. So it was like $350. That's not something that we could have ever done before it works. We would have had to save our money, wait a while. So I used that. I didn't do it to like illicit distributors, but I used that to show what a blessing this business was for us, because right after our commissions posted, you know, we went and just ordered a brand new trampoline. And those are the things that other people want, need, or looking for in their lives. You know, if we'd have done that before, we would have had to charge it. And that was, you know, not a smart move, but something that we do sometimes for our kids and to make them happy. So this is something we were able to do for them, that we could just pay cash, be done with it. So I think about that with every post that I make. Am I adding some kind of value with it, whether it's distributor or customer? And then building the relationships. I try to spend time every single day doing that as well.
So what I want you guys to do today, if you don't have a daily non-negotiable checklist, to make one. And think about the time in your business where your business was booming, where you were signing like 3 customers a day, 2 DTs every 4 days, like you were just on fire, okay? What were you doing those days? And do that again, you know? And obviously your daily checklist isn't gonna be as hardcore as when you are pushing, but it has to be consistent with what you're doing every single day if you want to get results. So we kind of touch on posting. I know we're running out of time, but if you guys just want to give an example of a post that you did this week, or just some kind of post that works best for you versus a post in the past that you did that didn't get you attention, maybe in the beginning of your business. So what did you change, and how does your routine go with like what you put into your post?
So, oh my gosh, you guys, 4 years ago when I started this business, it was horrible. I posted everything that was like, you know, oh my gosh, this rep did this, or join my team, or blah, blah, blah. And it was all about me. And I posted like the Shannon Mile guy for probably about 3 or 4 months. But I still got to Ruby, but it was not the way to post. So now I've changed the way, because I learned how to be vulnerable. I learned how to be emotional with my posts. And I'm a red, you guys. Like, I don't, like, it's not easy for me just to, you know, put it out. I never want it to be like somebody who's like just put it all out there. And I never, and it was when you're struggling, and when it's like, and when things are going, you know, poorly, it's hard to put that stuff out there. It's hard to be real, and it's hard to do those things. So that's the biggest thing that changed my business, is being real. People don't care if you got makeup on. Half the time my pictures are with my hair on top of my head, I have no makeup on, and I'm in my PJs. That's mostly how my pictures go, or I have a kid on top of me. Okay, but that's real life. That's real life, being real, showing people who you are, what you are, and stuff. It's not this like, oh, you know, like, it's not all this fancy stuff. It's just being real, because that's who you can relate to. If you want to help, like, you know, I love helping other special needs moms, you know? I love that. If I can show them that I can do it and I can be real, they're going to relate to me. They're not going to relate to my highlight reel, you know, because this new person coming in, they didn't see what I went through for the last 4 years. They didn't see that. So if you guys have been in this business for a little bit of time, and those people that you're adding right now, they don't know what you've been through. They don't know who you are. You might be a diamond or above, or maybe you haven't promoted. And let me tell you, I promoted double in January. I was not a fast runner in this business. I had life happen. And so be real, constantly be telling your story. and stuff, be constantly sharing in different angles. I tell my team, pick 5 things that are about you, like who you are, and then pick 5 things that changed you over your life, and that's what you talk about.
That was so good.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys, I want to say one thing before I pass it down. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So it's important when you're making your posts that you stand for something. Why do you want to do this business? Is it to help somebody lose weight? Is your passion? It falls back on your passion. What is your passion for it works? You know, it's bigger than just doing it works. It's bigger than what you do or how you do it. It's why you're doing it. So you really got to sit back and kind of like almost think about what kind of change do I want to make with the world. And for me, I branded myself not the normal mom. It's my Instagram name. It's everything because I'm not the normal mom. I don't do things normal. And so I stand for thinking outside the box and doing things different. And that's, you know, working from home, bringing in 6 figures a year plus with my babies. So that's my mission, is to bring more moms home with their kids. And that's what I stand for. And that's why I attract so many moms that want that too, because that's what I talk about. So I just want to share real quick, a lot of distributors think that they need to recruit by sharing what they do and how they do it, but instead you're missing the why. It's kind of like, you know, the inside of a circle. Everyone talks about what they do, how they do it, but they don't talk about why they do it. Start thinking from the inside. Why you do it, then talk about how you do it, and then talk about what you do. And that's what people want to, you know, really see is the reason behind what you're doing. So real quick, tell us about the posts that are working best for you.
So guys, it's really important to celebrate small wins. The thing is, you know, you guys see us standing up here and you're like, oh, $100,000 in credit card debt paid off, or oh, you know, Brittany and Brittany's husbands are home. Let's be honest, guys, most people can't connect with that. You have to start small. And so I don't care if you're new to the business, I don't care if all you've made is $25 in Wrap Cash or Keto Cash or whatever, take a picture of that cash. There's a mom out there that wants to buy diapers. There's a mom out there that can't buy formula. There's a mom out there that can't pay her water bill, or a dad, or whatever. So it's important to share small wins. You know, my first paycheck with this business was $46. And I can remember when I told somebody $46, they were like, you're excited about $46? And I'm like, heck yeah, I'm a glass, you know, half full instead of a glass half empty type girl. And so $46 back 7 years ago, that was 2 tanks of gas in my Honda Civic that I was driving from high school. So that was huge. So I don't care if your first check was $46 or if you're making $200, $300. If you're going to the gas tank and you're able to fill up instead of putting $5 in your tank, celebrate that win. If you're able to pay cash for Christmas, celebrate that win. If you're able to go to the beach for a weekend, celebrate those small wins, because those small wins are the ones that people's going to be able to connect with.
I would say definitely being yourself and trying to attract your people. Like, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Everybody's not going to relate to you. So focusing on the people that would be your people, that would have a lot in common with you, that would really relate to you specifically. I do a lot of like working mom posts, because that's what I'm a working mom. I have 2 kids. I have to do daycare. You know, I'm kind of like a 9 to 5. And so those are the ones that I focus the most on, because I think they're the ones that would relate the most to me.
I love that. And I just want to share something. When you show up as a diluted version of yourself, you start attracting diluted distributors on your team. So if you start showing up as the full you, who you are, and if you are a hot mess express, embrace it. If you drop F-bombs, drop an F-bomb on social. That's who you are. Do it in a way that's not trashy though, you know, an empowering F-bomb dropper. That's what I do.
Empowering F-bomb.
That's who I am. I'm proud about it, and I love Jesus. But I'm serious. I'm attracting women that are like me, and they're money-hungry women that are willing to do anything for their family, and that's who I want on my team. Real women that get me. So be you. If you're not attracting the right distributors, you are. And if anyone has anything to say about it, oh, well, you weren't talking to them anyway. So, last thing, what can we tell somebody real quick who is doing social media, but it's just not working for them? What do you suggest that they change, Cassie?
I would be honest with yourself and say that you're not working social media. You have to really take a really good hard look in the mirror and say, what are you really doing in your day that if social media is not working for you? Because I guarantee you there is something that you aren't doing that is happening. You know, like the one thing I want to preference is that we all lead different lives. Every day for me is not the same. Okay, I have 2 kids. My youngest is 5. She still doesn't walk. She doesn't talk. I have a lot going on. But the biggest thing is that you have to be disciplined in what you're doing. And that doesn't mean, it doesn't matter if you're doing events, it doesn't matter if you're doing parties, it doesn't matter if you're doing social media. You actually have to take responsibility and accountability in your business to say like, okay, I've said I've messaged 100 people, but it's not really been 100 people, you know? Like you really have to say, okay, it's really only been like 10, you know? And you have to take accountability in that because a lot of people say, well, this is just not working. Okay, well, let's go back to the drawing board. What are you doing? And my first question is how many people did you message? And most of the answer I get is 30 or less. It's just not enough. It's just not enough, especially when you're starting out and you don't have the engagement that we do, and stuff, and you don't have that pull like we do, because we've been years doing that, you guys. It doesn't happen overnight. When you first start out, you kind of have to put in that effort. You got to get that train turning, and stuff. And sometimes that takes a little bit of time. So you really have to look at what you're doing every single day, and can you honestly say with yourself that you're posting every day, that you're making your network good. Okay, I think a lot of that has to do with like how does your profiles look, you guys? If something's not working for you, get with your upline, figure it out. Don't run the hamster wheel and just keep spinning your wheel and say, well, this is not working for me, it's not meant for me. No, figure it out. Like, I didn't have an upline to teach me anything, you guys. I had no upline. So, like, you just have to figure it out.
So if you have an upline, hashtag no excuses, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Brittany, go ahead real quick.
I didn't have an upline either, so high five for the no uplines. Okay, so guys, consistency is absolutely 100% key. But here's the thing: you have to do all of the things, not some of the things.
Yeah.
And so my team hears it all the time. I post tasks every single day, anywhere from like 6 to 8 tasks every single day for them to do with the little polls on the team page. It is there. But when I tell you to send out 50 messages for host to post today and you've sent out 10 and you're complaining about your business not growing through social media, you can't just do some of the things, you have to do all of the things. And if you're not doing all of the things, that's why you're not having success with social media.
So yes, definitely agree with both of those. I would just like to add to that, and I would probably have answered this differently last week, but after this weekend, I wanted to add that if you feel like it's not working for you, I would recommend doing some personal development and some self-reflection on that, and figuring out why it's not working for you.
Yeah.
And probably what it is that something is holding you back somewhere. And so you are holding yourself back and kind of sabotaging yourself in that respect. And so figuring that out so then you can work on changing that and growing with that.
Yep.
And I would be willing to bet it would immediately start working for you after that.
Let's pray.
Wow, okay, so how many of you guys learned some really awesome stuff?
Woo!
Okay, great. So I'm going to leave you guys with a call to action. Everyone take their phone out right now. Meet the person next to you, say hey, because you're about to get a picture with them. So get your selfie face ready, okay? Fix your hair. You're going to take a picture with this person.
I don't know what to do.
And you're going to ask that person, what kind of raise are you receiving?